Hi, welcome everyone to another video. My name is Denis and today I'm going to preview Game Week 9 of Fantasy Premier League. So basically we're going to discuss about anything you need to know ahead of Game Week 9. So let's just get into it. Okay guys, so before starting this video, spoiler alert, probably is going to be a really long one, but don't worry guys, this video is going to have timestamps, so feel free to jump to any section of this video you want. As I said at the beginning, today we're going to discuss about everything you need to know pretty much ahead of Game Week 9 of Fantasy Premier League. We're going to discuss about the best fixtures, the best players to target. We're going to discuss about DefCons, and now starting with the first part, here we're going to talk briefly and let's see who are the players who are transferred out and transferred in this Game Week. So I'm just going to give you shortly and briefly my opinion if I think that these moves are justified. So starting with the most transferred out players ahead of Game Week 9, as you can see, no surprise on the first place is someone like Mohamed Salah, and obviously that's because his ownership is still considerable at the moment. But again, with Mohamed Salah, I don't really want to discuss too much about him because obviously if you don't have Erling Haaland into your team, that's a completely different situation. I think that you should just sell Mohamed Salah and get that money and upgrade to Erling Haaland. So yeah, I think that's fair enough, and I can't really justify for anyone to not sell Mohamed Salah at the moment. Although the fixtures are decent for Liverpool, and from Game Week 12 onwards, maybe Liverpool players are going to be back into our thoughts. I just think that at the moment it's just you need to let it go pretty much. You need to rip the band-aid. So yeah, if you have both of them, Erling Haaland and Mohamed Salah, maybe that's a little bit different, but again, it is really hard to justify to have a 14.4 million player into your team who's not pretty much getting any return. So yeah, probably in most cases I would just sell Mohamed Salah. João Pedro on the second place. Here I'm not so sure about it. Now again, depending if you're on your wildcard, if you have 5 free transfers or something like that, then yeah, you can justify going without João Pedro for the future. I'm not saying that you should keep João Pedro forever or something like that, but especially in Game Week 9, if you don't know, Chelsea are playing against Sunderland, so I just think that you should just give him one more week at least. And also the fixtures are great also in the next 5 fixtures, but again, I understand, I get it why a lot of people are frustrated with Joao Pedro, because obviously he's not delivering in the last game weeks. But I would I would find it really hard for me as an FPL manager to sell any player pretty much who's going to play against Sunderland at home. So yeah, I think that Joao Pedro, you should give him one more game week. But again, if you want to upgrade elsewhere, if you want to go buy someone like Erling Haaland, then yeah, just go do that. Gyökeres, Ryan Deers, Richarlison, as you can see. So from this list with Gyökeres, it's a different situation because again, he's 9 million and he's not delivering. He blanked in the last 3 or 4 game weeks or something like that in the Premier League. Now he just scored a brace in the Champions League, if that's going to help you a little bit. Again, he's 9 million. I understand why a lot of people are selling him. A lot of people are going to go for Bukayo Saka, and I don't really mind the switch. I just don't. If you have five free transfers or 4 or something like that, I don't mind the switch. I think that it is okay, but also I think that we are a little bit too harsh on Gyökeres. He's still decent, I think, for the next 3 fixtures, and depending on your squad, obviously, if you really want to go for Bukayo Saka, definitely. I'm not saying that he's a bad pick. I think that obviously, if you give me the choice, I would just take Bukayo Saka. He's more talismanic, he's more essential to that team. He's on penalties, he's on some set pieces still. So yeah, I definitely prefer Bukayo Saka, but I just don't think that we should rule out right off Gyökeres, because for an example, in the last 3 game weeks, or at least 3 games Arsenal played, Saka got just 1 attack in return, and that was a penalty also. So it's not like Bukayo Saka scored 5 goals and Gyökeres blanked in all the fixtures. So I just don't think that is going to be such a big difference. Now the next 3 fixtures for Arsenal, the next one in Game Week 9 is Crystal Palace, so that's okay. And also after that they are going to have really 2 good fixtures, and I think that it's not going to be such a big difference in terms of FPL points between Gyökeres and Bukayo Saka. So depending on your strategy, depending on your plans in the future, if you want to go for someone like Mohamed Salah or not, I think that it is okay to still keep the Gyökeres. Maybe that sounds a little bit crazy right now, but yeah, if you're just tired of having him, then yeah, you can just get rid of him. I would not take -4, by the way, to buy to switch Gyökeres to Bukayo Saka. Probably I would not do it for two free transfers. I have this dilemma into my team, so at the moment I'm still leaning to give Gyökeres some games at least. So yeah, we're going to need to see what we're going to do, but I just don't think that we should write him off. With Reinders, it is a little bit different. 194,000 transfers out. I understand it. He's not delivering. He was subbed off before 60 minutes. He didn't play also in the Champions League, so I still think that I'm still expecting his minutes to be decent going forward for Manchester City, but probably he's not going to play such an advanced role. And again, with Reinders from the beginning, I didn't expect a lot from him. He's 5.7 millions at the moment, and there aren't really a lot of better options at that price point. Now, obviously, you're going to just say Caicedo. Caicedo, yeah, he's a little bit more expensive, but yeah, Caicedo scored 3 goals, so that's pretty much why a lot of people are going for him, and also he's really good for defensive contribution. So definitely, I think that if I would be wildcarding right now, I would not go for Reinders, but I just don't think that he's a priority. And again, it depends. If you need to play Reinders every gaming, if you just need to have him onto your bench, then that's just fine. I think that he's a fine option at that price, but again, yeah, I'm not really happy with his performances. Also with Richarlison, I think that yeah, you should just get rid of him. So again, Tottenham are playing without Richarlison, and that's without having Kolo Muani, without having Dominic Solanke at the moment. So as I said, for the last 3 weeks or something, that Richarlison is just a sell. When you have the opportunity to sell him, I think that you should just get rid of him. You can't just guarantee the minutes from Richarlison. So yeah, with Enzo Fernandez, again, this is the transfer probably I can't really understand. Now again, he was flagged last gaming, so yeah, I maybe can a little bit understand why some people are selling him, but he's fit to play. Let's see, Chelsea probably are going to play in 2 hours or something like that in the Champions League, so we're going to find out if Enzo Fernandez is fit or not to play against Sunderland, but definitely I would not be selling him. Probably I would just be buying him ahead of Game Week 9 instead. Ekitike, again, I think that he's a sell. You can't just guarantee his minutes, although here we have also Ekitike and also Isak. Now with Isak, I understand why some people are selling him, but what I can't really understand is if you bought Alexander Isak before he was starting games for Liverpool, why would you sell him right now when he's getting to start some games? So again, I know that Liverpool were bad overall as a team in the last game mix, at least, but if you bought Isak, I think that you don't really have a lot of reasons to sell, but yeah, fair enough. If you want to do that with Ekitike, I understand it, because probably he's not going to be a starter for Liverpool, and you're never going to be sure when he's going to start. They have a lot of competitions to play. Probably Ekitike is going to get a lot of minutes in the Champions League. So again, until we're going to see Ekitike and maybe Isak starting together, I just think that you should sell Ekitike. Van de Ven, again, as for Spurs players, I think that it is fine to keep them for one more game week because they're going to play against Everton in game week 9. But after that, I really think that Spurs players are going to be sell. So I agree with this. And also with Wood, again, probably he's a player who's been sold by a lot of people in the last few gamings, but now let's see who are the players the people are bringing in. Moving on to see which are the most transfer in players ahead of game week 9. With this list, I agree with most of the picks. So we have Voldemort, Mateta, Erling Haaland, Gabriel Saka, Caicedo, Rice, James Semenyo, and Cody Gakpo from Liverpool. So on this list, I pretty much agree with almost all of the picks. Voldemort, no surprises here. He's getting good minutes until Wisa is going to be back. So I think that he's safe, definitely. When Gordon is not going to be on the pitch, he's also on penalties, so it makes a lot of sense. Now, again, maybe here it is a little bit of knee-jerk with Voldemort, with Mateta especially, because obviously Mateta, he just scored a hat-trick against Bournemouth, so again, he's definitely into our thoughts, and maybe that hat-trick swayed our thinking a little bit going forward, but definitely I'm just not sure I would be buying Mateta, to be honest with you, in game week 9 against Arsenal away. I think that's the toughest fixture Crystal Palace are going to have this season, and although Crystal Palace are probably the best attacking team in the last 4 or 5 game weeks, something like that, I just don't think that's a great matchup for Crystal Palace, a great matchup for any attacking player. So Again, if you want to buy him before early to get some price rises, then I totally understand it. If you want to bench him against Arsenal, I don't really mind it. But overall, in the future, I think that Mateta and Voldemar probably are the best transfers to go for. Voldemart is scoring more consistently. He scored in the last 3 or 4 game weeks. He's cheap. So yeah, the next 3 fixtures for Newcastle are really good, and from game week 12 onwards, the fixtures are going to be even better for Newcastle. So it makes a lot of sense to buy these forwards. With Erling Haaland, I don't really need to discuss too much about him. Definitely, if there still are some people who are not owning Erling Haaland, I would suggest you to try to get him into your team, because at the moment he's in the form of his life. So it's really hard to go against him. Then Gabriel Saka, probably two of my favorites assets from Arsenal. It makes a lot of sense to have them. They played in the Champions League. Gabriel got another attacking return. So yeah, Arsenal are the best defense in the Premier League. Not, I'm not going to argue here. And then we have some picks who I'm not sure I agree with them. Now, obviously, Caicedo, again, for that price, 5.9 millions, I think that he's okay. The main problem I have with Caicedo is if he's going to be your 8th attacker, he's going to be mostly on your bench, and that's fine if you want to have some cover. Because if some player is going to get your red card, maybe you're going to get some injuries, you're going to have someone like Caicedo to play into your starting 11. But usually, if Caicedo would be my 8th attacker, for an example, I would probably just bench him every game week. And yeah, it really depends to you if you want to spend almost 6 millions on a bench player. For an example, if I would make this transfer, probably I would just go for someone like Minte for 0.1, 0.2 millions more to try to catch the upside. And the thing is, Caicedo, I understand the hype because he scored 3 goals this season, more than he scored in the last 3 years or something like that, when he played in the Premier League. That's why he's looking just fantastic at the moment, and he's getting defensive contributions points. So I definitely don't mind it. If you want to go for a DefCon midfielder who's just going to be on your bench and you can play him when you need it, yeah, Caicedo is probably one of the best, but I just don't think that his scoring chances are going to keep at that rhythm. But yeah, with Rice, again, I don't really understand why would you go for Rice at the moment. If you have Rice, definitely I would just keep him. But to be honest, if you want to go for a triple up from Arsenal, I just don't see Declan Rice in my top 3, in my top 5 probably. So I would go for Saka, I would go for Gabriel, Timber, Raya, maybe even for Gyökeres. But again, for that price, if you want to save some cash, I think that Rice is decent. Just only if he was good also for defensive contributions, I think that he would be an unbelievable pick. You have also someone like Eze here from Arsenal. So yeah, what the appeal for Declan Rice, I get it. He's on almost all the set pieces from Arsenal, and we know that Arsenal are just amazing at set pieces. They're scoring a lot of goals from them, so I can see the appeal. They are going to get a lot of clean sheets, so he's going to get that extra point in most games. We saw that he was benched in some games, so definitely he's not that player who's going to play 20 out of the next 20. Maybe he's going to be rested at some point, but that pretty much applies to any player from any team. So yeah, he's not of my favorites players from Arsenal, but I think that he's decent if you have him. Definitely James, maybe a little bit of a knee jerk from the last game week when he scored and he got an assist. 5.4 millions for a Chelsea defender. I think that the next fixtures are really good. Definitely probably I would still go for someone like Chaloba or for someone like Sanchez to try to save up some cash. But again, if James can keep up his fitness, if he can play 90 minutes every game, I think that he's a great option. But that is the problem with Reece James, right? We were burnt in the past so many times because myself, at least, I remember when I got Reece James into my team because he was this amazing fullback who was really attacking, who was I don't know, getting into the really good positions. He was scoring a lot of goals, but then he's just getting injured. So again, right now it's looking like he's really fit to play. He played a lot of 90 minutes in the last few games. So if you want to take a little bit of a risk, yeah, Reece James, I don't really mind it. Semenyo Gakpo, again, if you don't have Semenyo at the moment, yeah, probably he's just a good buy to go. If Clivert, again, is not on the pitch, you have a 8 million attacker from Bournemouth who's on penalties. Definitely at that price, I think that we can make a conversation if you still want to go for Semenyo, but because Bournemouth are playing really good at the moment and because the fixtures are not that bad for them, it's Nottingham Forest, Man City, Villa, which is not great in 10 and 11, but after that the fixtures are great from Game Week 12, West Ham, Sunderland, Everton and Chelsea in Game Week 15. So the fixtures are decent. I think that is just a really good option for an example. And the last player here on this list is Cody Gakpo from Liverpool. He was amazing. He was the best player from Liverpool against Manchester United. So maybe that's also a little bit of knee jerk. He's that player from Liverpool. Again, I'm not going to hide here. He can be benched in some games, but he's going to play most games. Let's be honest here. Again, at some point, Liverpool players are for sure going to be into our radar, but at the moment, again, he had a lot of chances against Manchester United. Not going to lie there. He's looking decent. And definitely from Game Week 12, maybe I'm going to look to buy him. If you want to go a little bit early, I think that he's not a bad option. But just keep in mind that they could play Ekitike on that left wing. They could play someone like Rio, and also they could play someone like Wirtz. So until Liverpool are going to start playing good football again, until they are going to start clicking, I'm just not sure I would buy any midfielder from any player pretty much from Liverpool. But yeah, enough with the transfers. Let's move to the next part. Moving to the next part, we're going to discuss about some of the best midfielders from my point of view, at least. Now, what you see on the screen, this is just a statistic for the last 5 game weeks. So from game week 4 to game week 8, non-penalty expected goals per 90 minutes. So again, we're not going to see here the data for the assist, but we're going to discuss also about the best fixtures to target. We're going to discuss about other midfielders straight up from this list. I'm going to tell you which midfielders I would avoid at the moment, at least. Jacob Murphy from Newcastle, I think that there is too much rotation. If you want to go for a Newcastle midfielder, I would just go for Anthony Gordon. Okafor from Leeds, I would just avoid. Mohamed Salah, Jeremy Pino and Ahmad. These players I would just avoid because they all have a lot of reasons to avoid. Now, if you talk about what remained, as you can see from this list in the last 5 game weeks in the Premier League, Cody Gakpo got the most data here for non-penalty expected goals per 90 minutes, 0.61 is huge. It's just amazing for a player. Now, obviously, a lot of that XG is coming from the game against Manchester United in Game Week 8 when he had he hit the post 2 or 3 times, something like that, and he also scored the goal. So again, maybe a little bit knee jerk from Game Week 8. I think that definitely at some point we're going to be looking, as I said before, to buy some Liverpool players. If that's going to be Virgil van Dijk, if that's going to be Cody Gakpo, Wirtz, Isak or Mohamed Salah, if you want to go safe, I think that we're going to be able to get some Liverpool players. Now, obviously, Cody Gakpo is a really cheap one, probably the cheapest of the bunch I just mentioned, 7.5 millions. And definitely, if you want to go early, I don't think that's a problem, but you should just keep in mind that I don't think that he's at the same level as Mohamed Salah when it comes to nailedness and to minutes. So again, he could be benched in some game, but I would expect him to start most games. Enzo Fernandez, again, I think that he's one of the best midfielders to buy this game week if he's going to be fit. And we're going to see that if he's going to play in the Champions League, and also we need to see more information from the press conference from Maresca. But I think that he's just a great option on penalties, on some set pieces. The latest news is that Delap maybe is going to be back soon that we expected them to be. Now that's going to have a domino effect on all Chelsea players. Probably Guyu is not going to start a lot of games. João Pedro is going to play as a number 10 probably, and Enzo Fernandez is going to play a little bit more deeper, but I just don't think that's going to impact him that much. I think that he's still a great option. If Palmer is out, he's on penalties also, so now really need to talk too much about Enzo Fernandez. Sarr is another player who I really like, but I just don't think that you should rush to buy him in Game Week 9. The same like for Mateta. The fixtures from Crystal Palace are going to be really good after Game Week 10, after Game Week 9 I mean. So yeah, I think that you should just wait. Eze, again, I don't think that I would buy him right now because his minutes are just not amazing. He's not playing 90 minutes right now, and that's even with Odegaard injured. So when Odegaard is going to be back, I just don't think that you can guarantee Eberechi Eze's minutes. and I don't think that he's also in my top 3 for players from Arsenal. But again, if you want to go take a punt, if you want to go for just Gabriel and go for Bukayo Saka and Eberechi Eze, I just don't mind it for the next few gamings, but I'm not sure if I would buy him right now. Mohamed Salah, again, he got a lot of chances, to be honest, against Manchester United, but that price is just not delivering, so I think that you should avoid at the moment. Beumo is an interesting one. We're going to talk also about Bruno Fernandes here. So again, if you want to go a little bit different, I think that Mbeumo is a decent option. And yeah, I would not go for Ahmad. And if you wait just a second, now you're going to see the fixture. So if we move and see where it is Manchester United. From Game Week 9, the fixtures are Brighton, Nottingham Forest, Spurs, Everton, Crystal Palace, West Ham, and Wolverhampton in Game Week 15. So for a lot of game weeks, you're going to get good fixtures from Manchester United. Now, again, I know that they are Manchester United, but still, Mbeumo at that price, 8 millions. I would not be surprised for Mbeumo to outscore someone like Semenyo in the next 5 to 6 game weeks or something like that. So again, he's a nice differential. If you have someone like Bruno Fernandes, definitely you could just keep him. He's still okay now. Again, maybe a little bit of a knee jerk, but we just saw against Liverpool when Bruno Fernandes is getting an attacking return, he's also getting bonus points. He's decent for defensive contribution. So again, I think that probably Bruno Fernandes is the safer pick. But if you want to go for another midfielder from Manchester United, I think that it should be Brian Mbeumo. Now here, let's just see also some midfielders under 10 million. So starting with Bukayo Saka, I think that, yeah, definitely long term, I think that he's the best attacker from Arsenal to have. Bruno Fernandes, again, if you need the money from Bruno Fernandes to upgrade to Saka, to upgrade to other players, I think that's okay. But if you want to keep him, the fixtures are not that bad. As I said before, Brighton, Forest, Spurs, Everton. So you're not going to be forced to sell him. Yeah, he's going to play a more deeper role, but he's still on some set pieces. We saw that he still can create chances, and probably he's still on penalties. So Bruno Fernandes, again, I don't think that he's worth the price, 8.9 millions at the moment, but he's a nice option. And the thing is, we don't have a lot of good options at the moment. Someone like Palmer is not playing, someone like Mohamed Salah is not playing. We don't have players like Heung-min Song anymore, someone like Foden is not returning. So again, these expensive premium midfielders, if you want to call them like that, are just not performing at the moment. So that's why at the moment you can still keep someone like Bruno Fernandes. Now, if you want to buy him, I think that that's maybe a little bit different, because it really depends. I would buy firstly other players rather than Bruno Fernandes, to be honest. I would rather buy Bukayo Saka, maybe someone like Sar from Game Week 10, maybe someone like Enzo Fernandez. But again, if you have all these players and you're looking for another midfielder, yeah, I just don't think that he's ever a really bad option. Bruno Fernandes, Semenyo, we discussed about him. Gakpo the same. Ahmad, again, I just don't think that I would go there because of the ministries, because he's not going to play such an advanced role. Beumo, I think that he's decent. Foden, I think that you're just not buying him right now because the fixtures are not great for City. Aston Villa away, Bournemouth, Liverpool, Newcastle. So straight away, the next 4 fixtures for Manchester City are not great, so I would just not go Foden. Unjae is another interesting one. The fixtures are decent, starting with Tottenham at home, not great but decent. Sunderland, Fulham, Manchester United, Newcastle, Bournemouth, Forest, Chelsea, and we saw Njaya playing against Manchester City in Game Week 8, and he was unbelievable. We know that he has that possibility to get defensive contributions. He's on penalties. And he's just in really good form at the moment. The fixtures are decent. I think that he's just a great option, even if you want to buy him this game week. With Enzo Fernandez and Sar, I talked about him. So probably my favorite midfielders in this price bracket, let's say, are Enzo, Sar, and Njae, but Sar from Game Week 10 onwards. Then you have other options if you want to go for someone like Rice, if you want to go for someone like Soboslai, but they are not really that exciting. Minte is probably my fourth favorite player to have at the moment because he's really cheap, 6 millions. And the fixtures: Man United, Leeds, Palace, Brentford, Forest, Aston Villa, West Ham are pretty nice until Game Week 15. So again, Brighton, another team who is going under the radar. Kudus, again, I think that he's fine to keep for Game Week 9 because of that fixture against Everton, but after that, Again, I would rather just sell your Spurs defenders if you have any, but after that, I think that we have better options because the fixtures from Game Week 10, Chelsea, Man United, Arsenal, Fulham, Newcastle are just not great from Spurs. Again, you can just keep him if you really like Kudus. I just think that there are better options elsewhere. The same could be said for someone like Jack Grealish, but again, I would just go in Jae and save up some cash. Caicedo, Anderson, Paqueta. Again, we're going into some players who are not that exciting. Let's say someone like Reinders, someone like Rogers at some point maybe is going to be an option, someone like Florentino, but we're going to discuss about this player. So pretty much that's it. You're not going to go for Xavi at the moment. I don't think that I would go for Gordon at the moment, although the fixtures are really decent. Yeah, Chaka, Whiffler, here we have other defensive options. So again, pretty much this is what I wanted to say about the midfielders. My top at the moment would be to go to someone like Enzo Fernandez, Sar from Game Week 10 onwards, someone like Minte, someone like Njae. Pretty much these are the options I would go for, and definitely Bukayo Saka if you don't have him already. I think that he's decent. So yeah, let's move to the next part. Moving next, we're going to discuss about the same statistic, but this time we're going to discuss about the best forwards. Now, again, these are the forwards who accumulated the most non-penalty expected goals per 90 minutes in the last 5 game weeks. So this is not for the whole season, it's just from game week 4 to 8. And as you can see here on the first place is Jean-Philippe Mateta. So he's topping Erling Haaland in the last 5 game weeks at least. So he's averaging 1.17 non-penalty expected goals per 90 minutes. And keep in mind that also Mateta has penalties, the same as Erling Haaland. So again, obviously a lot of that XG was accumulated in the last game week, in game week 8 against Bournemouth, when he accumulated 3 point something like that. So he was just crazy. His statistics are just crazy, over the roof at the moment. So again, maybe a little bit knee jerk. What I wanted to say here about Jean-Philippe Mateta, because maybe it is a little bit of hindsight. A lot of people are hyping him at the moment, and don't get me wrong, I think that he's one of the best for us to go alongside Erling Haaland from Game Week 10 onwards. But before he was subbed off after 60 minutes, after 68 minutes, something like that. So his minutes weren't great before this game against Bournemouth, when he's just going to get you a hat trick. So again, definitely I think that he's a great option from Game Week 10 onwards, when the fixtures are going to be decent, because at 7.6 million, sorry, you have a player from Crystal Palace, who we're going to see in a minute are the best team in the Premier League attacking wise in the last games at least, who's on penalties. And yeah, the only downside here to Mateta is Nketiah and maybe his minutes, because of European competitions. Maybe he's going to be, I don't know, maybe there's also the possibility for him to be rested in some games. But again, I think that his minutes are going to be managed in some games, more likely. But he's still a decent option. So yeah, definitely Mateta is one to go, but I would not buy him for Game Week 9. I would try to wait until Game Week 10. Here on this list, the players I would not go at the moment probably would be Beto, Chris Wood, Sesko, and Calvert-Lewin. Now again, with Calvert-Lewin, I just think that if you want to really pay that money for an 8 attacker or something like that, who's not going to play for you every game week, I would just go for someone like I said. If you can find 0.4 millions or something like that, I just think that he's better than Calvert-Lewin. But again, if we talk about the strikers, probably he's one of the best, if not the best, under or 5.5 million strikers also on penalties for Leeds. But yeah, he's just not fantastic at the moment, and he's not a player I would recommend you to buy. Here, Gyökeres in the last 5 game weeks on the 6th place. So again, maybe we were a little bit too harsh with Gyökeres. I think that he's going to score, right, at some point. He's not going to keep blanking. But again, we definitely, you're not going to buy Gyökeres right now. I would not advise anyone to buy Gyökeres, because I just think that there are better options elsewhere. Thiago is a player who's going under the radar, but if we just move right now to see the fixtures for these players. If we look at Brentford, I think that the fixtures are just not that amazing. So starting with game week 9, they're going to play against Liverpool, Crystal Palace, Newcastle, Brighton. They have a nice fixture then against Burnley at home, but after that it's Arsenal and Tottenham. So definitely I don't think that I would buy him right now because the fixtures are just really bad for Thiago, but he was going under the radar a little bit. Now if you look here also for Crystal Palace, in game week 9, everybody knows they're going to play against Arsenal away. So yeah, try to wait one more game week. From game week 10, it's going to be Brentford, Brighton, Wolves, Manchester United, Burnley, and Fulham. So the fixtures are going to be really good for Crystal Palace. So I think that again, Mateta, players like Sar are going to be really interesting. Players like Munoz are going to be really interesting from an attacking and also from a defensive perspective. Other than that, again, someone like Welbeck may be going under the radar, but with Welbeck, again, he missed some games at the beginning. Maybe now he's going to get more regular starts. Maybe he's going to play more 90 minutes. When he's playing, he's pretty much on penalties. So again, definitely a really nice option at that price. But again, my favorites options for the strikers at the moment are obviously Erling Haaland. I don't really think that I need to mention him. Then it is Mateta from game week 10, and then it is Voldemar probably. And again, if you have players like João Pedro, I know that he wasn't performing great at the moment, but I would still give him at least one more game week. Now if we move to see also, if we switch here the midfielders to forwards to see if we missed some forwards. Now again, Erling Haaland, obviously, first on this list. If you don't have him, just buy him. Mateta, again, really great from game week 10. Isak is an interesting one because if you have Alexander Isak, to be honest with you, I would just be tempted to keep him. At least keep him. And let's see if today Liverpool are going to play without him in the Champions League. Maybe Ekitike is going to start. And then you're going to be more sure about Alexander Isak starting in the Premier League. So I think that I would just keep him against Brentford. The way, to be honest with you, also he has a really good record against Brentford. So it is a different situation. If you don't have Haaland, obviously just sell Isak to Haaland. If not, if you want to buy Mateta, just to wait one more game week. And yeah, the fixtures are overall going to be really good for Isak. Gyökeres, again, if you want to sell him, that's fine. If you want to keep him, I think that's also fine. It really depends which players you want to buy into your team. Bowen, again, the next three fixtures are okay. Leeds in game week 9, Burnley in game week 11, and Newcastle in game week 10. It's not amazing, but it is okay. I don't think that I would be buying Jared Bowen at the moment because the fixtures after that are going to get really harsh for West Ham, and West Ham are just really bad at the moment. So yeah, Monday they played. It was one of the worst games I saw from West Ham in a long, long time. So again, I would not go for Bowen. Voldemort, nice option. The next fixtures are really good. Fulham, West Ham, Brentford, Man City in game week 12, not amazing. But from game week 13, the fixtures are amazing for Newcastle, Everton, Spurs, Burnley, Sunderland. So again, Voldemort, another player who, if you're planning long term, probably it makes a lot of sense to buy him. Thiago, probably you're not buying him because of the fixture. Watkins, probably you're not buying him. Also, with the next two, Man City, Liverpool, not amazing. Strand Larson, again, he has a fixture against Burnley, but after that, the fixtures are going to get tougher. Fulham, Chelsea, Palace, Aston Villa. So, yeah, Evan Nilsson is injured. Krupi Juniors, I didn't talk about him too much. I think that he's going to start in Game Week 9. I just don't think that he's going to be a starter when Evan Nilsson is going to be back. So, we really need to see this information to see how many games Evan Nilsson is going to miss because if Evan Nilsson is going to get back, I just can't see him getting being on the bench forever. So again, Krupi Juniors might be a really nice option short term, but after that I don't really like him. Sesko, again, he didn't play against Liverpool, but that game was more because of a setup, because they played Mount, because they played Cunha, because they played Ahmad as full winger. So again, I expect Sesko to start most games, but I just don't think that you should go there right now because I would rather just go for Bruno and Mbeumo if you want some Man United players. And yeah, pretty much that's it. Isidore is an interesting one at that price, but probably I would not go there. And yeah, other than that, Foster, Richarlison, I would not go there. Wissa is not back. So yeah, pretty much that's it. If you want to go for a cheaper forward, you're going for Obi, you're going for Guyu, or you're going for Krupi Juniors. I would not go for Ekitike. I would not go for Kolo Muani. And yeah, pretty much I think that's it with the forwards. So my favorites options right now, obviously everybody's having Haaland, so he's the first one. Then from Game Week 10, probably it is Mateta and Voldemar, but let's see what's going to happen in Game Week 9. Let's see if we are going to change our options. And obviously, if you don't want to play with 3 strikers, I think that's also fine. If you want to play with 5 midfielders, or if you want to play a 4 at the back formation, I think that's also fine. But let's move to the next section. In the next section, we're going to discuss about the best defensive contributions defenders, but we're going to discuss also about the best defenders to buy in general, so don't worry about that, guys. Now, firstly, we're going to take a look at this graphic from the screen. As you can see, now this is from Game Week 4 to Game Week 8. I wanted to show you how are the best defensive contributions defenders per 90 minutes in the last 5 game weeks. And as you can see from this list, still Senesi is the number one here, averaging 12, almost 13 defensive contributions per game. So you can make a case here if Senesi is still worth the price at 5 millions, because obviously he's not 4.5 millions anymore. Now, if you're on a wildcard, I still think that he's worth the price, because he's really good for defensive contributions, and the way Bournemouth are playing, the way they are setting up, they are just getting a really lot of defensive contributions. Same with a team like Crystal Palace. Now, I'm going to discuss here on this list about these defenders who I don't think that we should target, also because I think that's important. I don't think that you should target a defender just because they are good for defensive contributions, and that's maybe the case for someone like Agbadu. Now, he's really cheap, he's 4.4 millions. I am expecting Wolverhampton to improve a little bit defensively, but surely at the moment you're just not going to go for him. The same would be for Mavropanos or any West Ham defender. The fixtures are just not there. I mean, they are decent in the next 3, let me say that, but they are not defending amazing at the moment. They are really terrible, and I'm expecting them to improve also under Nuno, but at the moment you're not buying any West Ham defender, let's be honest. I would not be buying Veldman probably, and probably I would not be buying Esteve or any other Burnley defenders. If you're on a wildcard, that's a different situation, because for an example, as you can see, someone like Mukiele is amazing, and I know that he scored last game, he got a clean sheet, he got defensive contributions, so that's just fabulous. But if you're on a wild card, I understand. As a 5th defender, I like him, but if we look here a little bit at the fixtures for someone like Sunderland, they are the last on this ranking. So it is Chelsea, Everton, Arsenal, Fulham, Bournemouth, Liverpool, Manchester City. And although I'm really surprised and impressed about how good Sunderland were this season, they were phenomenal in terms of defense, in terms of attack, but the fixtures are just not there right now. So if you're buying someone like Alderete, if you're buying someone like Mukiele expecting to play them, I just don't see a lot of clean sheets for a team like Sunderland, so that would be the only downside. Now, if we're talking about Senesi, again, someone like Anderson also is flagged at the moment. We need to see how bad is his injury. You're not buying Anderson at the moment, let's be honest. If we look at the fixtures, it is Newcastle, then Wolverhampton and Everton and Sunderland are decent until game week 12, then Spurs, Manchester City, Crystal Palace. So overall, Anderson, if you have him, just keep him. If you can bench him this gaming, because the fixtures are okay, but definitely you're not buying him right now. And yeah, he's good for defensive contributions. Fulham didn't really keep a lot of clean sheets, that's the problem. I think that we should still target those defenders who have some chances of getting clean sheets. So yeah, Tarkovsky again at 5.5 millions. I would not go for Tarkovsky. I said that before, but now you have more reason to not go for Tarkovsky, because yeah, we're going to move to see also here. If we select defenders here, we're going to talk also about some other defenders who are not on this list. They are not top for defensive contributions, but I think that you should consider them. And also, if you're on a wildcard, I would just go straight with Daniel Munoz. From Game Week 10, the fixtures: Brentford, Brighton, Wolverhampton, Man United, Burnley. The fixtures are just great for Crystal Palace. And what you have with Daniel Munoz, he's really good for defensive contributions, and even in a game like they played in Game Week 8 against Bournemouth, when Crystal Palace conceded 3 goals. He still whole. He still got 8 or 9 points, something like that, because he got 2 assists. He's really attacking at the moment. He's probably my favorite defender, and I wish I can get him into my team real soon. Now, yeah, there's not a rush to buy him in Game Week 9 against Arsenal, but Daniel Munoz, he's just getting into ridiculous positions in attack. He's getting a lot of assists. He's getting a lot of expected goals data, expected goal involvements, whatever data you want. Crystal Palace are also okay defensively, but if they're not going to keep a clean sheet with Munoz, you have that possibility for him to get defensive contributions and to also score 2 goals. He's just that kind of player at the moment. So yeah, I really would advise anyone to have a plan in mind, at least to get Munoz from Game Week 10, if you want to do that, obviously. Now from Chelsea, Chaloba probably is a player I would go for him for the short term, because the fixtures are going to turn for Chelsea after Game Week 16, let's say. But short term, I think that he's decent. Maybe he's going to miss some games, but I expect him to play most of them. Calafiori, Timber, again, these defenders I don't really need to discuss too much. If you don't have some defenders from Arsenal, just go and get some, because they are the best defense in the Premier League from my point of view. So yeah, that's why I didn't discuss too much about Arsenal. Crystal Palace, again, if you don't want to go for Mullons, I would just go straight up to Richards. I don't think that I would go for Lacroix for that mid price of 5 million. So yeah, it is either Munoz or Richards if you want to go cheap, and he's also really good for defensive contributions. From Liverpool, probably you're not going for any defender. If you want to go for one from Gaming 12 or something like that onwards, it should be Van Dijk at how things stand at the moment, because you just can't really rely on Konate. Kerkez is not playing amazing at the moment. Probably he's going to get some games on the bench, I would say. And yeah, with Frimpong and Bradley, you just don't know who's going to start. So pretty much that's it. If we move down the list, obviously some Newcastle defenders are going to be interesting to have, because long term, as I said, it should be a plan for everybody to try to have some players from Newcastle, I would say, long term, because the fixtures are really decent. I would go for Burn probably, or for Pope if you're wildcarding in goal. But pretty much that's it. If you, I would not go for Milenkovic. I would not go for defenders from Fulham at the moment. I would not go for defenders from Brighton, Man United, West Ham, as I said before. So yeah, there are a lot of defenders. With Spurs defenders, I would just try to sell them as soon as you can. Maybe not in Game Week 9, but after that you need to have a plan to sell them. If we move a little bit up and filter the price a little bit under, let's say, 4.8 millions, to see which are really the options for us. Diouf, again, I would not go for him, but yeah, it's looking like I don't really find the defender I want to talk about. From Bournemouth, again, I would go for Senesi if you have the cash. I don't think that you should go for someone like Trafford or Diakite. Senesi is just in a league of his own, talking about Bournemouth defenders. So yeah, other than that, Leeds, the fixtures are not amazing. West Ham Game Week 9 is great, but after that, Brighton, Forest, Villa, City, Chelsea, Liverpool, I just don't see a lot of clean sheets. So maybe the time for these really cheap defenders passed. Now, again, I'm just, now when I'm scrolling down, I'm just, obviously, I was looking for Michael Keane from Everton, but again, because he's not really seen as an amazing option, probably he's not on this list. Now, with Keane, the thing is, he's an Everton defender, and as I said so many times before, the fixtures weren't great for Everton, and I just didn't saw a lot of clean sheets for them. Now, Braithwaite, the latest news is that probably he's going to need to have surgery, so that was one of the reasons why nobody looked for Keane and everybody gone to Tarkovsky. Now, if you can save up to 1 million by just going Tarkovsky, not Tarkovsky to Keane, but if you want to buy new, I would just go for Keane because of his attacking threat. When Everton are doing set pieces, corners, etc., they are looking for Keane. So his goal threat is amazing, and I would go for Keane just because of that. But he's also decent for defensive contributions. I think that he's averaging something like 9.5 per game, so he's not going to get you defensive contributions every game week like someone like Senesi, but he's going to get you, let's say, in half of the game weeks. And yeah, not a rush to buy him against Tottenham in game week 9, but after that, if you're in look if you're looking for a cheap defender, Sunderland, Fulham, Man United, Newcastle, Bournemouth, Forest, Chelsea, the fixtures are decent, not amazing, but yeah, you got my idea. So pretty much a lot is going to depend about your plans, because probably there's no need to really buy any defenders at the moment. We have a lot of good midfielders, so everybody's looking to upgrade their forward spots, midfield spots, maybe get rid of Gyökeres, maybe buy Haaland, maybe buy Bukayo Saka, Njae, Sarr, Enzo Fernandez. There are a lot of good midfield options at the moment, and if your defense is okay, I would not make any defensive transfers, but just keep in mind uh, planning forward when Newcastle, City, Liverpool are going to have decent fixtures, Crystal Palace. You should have a plan at some point to get some. Now, obviously, everybody right now should need to have some Arsenal defenders, and that's fine. Then, how you play it, if you want to play it big at the back with some, if you want to play with 4 or 5 defenders at the back, I think that's viable because of defensive contribution. So yeah, as I said before, when the season started, I didn't know that. I didn't think that defensive contributions were going to be that overpowered. Now, the thing is, this season compared to last one, there are 40% more defensive contributions this season. So maybe that's why the cheap, not the cheap, the metric is looking so overpowered at the moment. We need to see if that's going to stay the same all the season, but you should take also into consideration these things. And yeah, basically, try to pick some defenders like Senesi, like Munoz, who are playing also for decent teams, who are likely to get some clean sheets at the moment. So yeah, let's move to the next part. Now, the next part is going to be about the best defensive contributions, midfielders, but I'm going to try to have this part a little bit more shorter because, as I said before, there are a lot of good midfielders at the moment, like Ismail Assar, Enzo Fernandez, Njae, Minte from Brighton. So again, I just don't think that a lot of people are going to be looking to buy players like Caicedo, Florentino, Chaka. But again, depending if you're on a wild card or not, maybe you need to get some cash out of a player like, I don't know, maybe you still have someone like Palmer and you want to downgrade him, then yeah, maybe you're looking to buy some of these midfielders. Again, this is the stats in the last 5 game weeks in the Premier League. And as you can see, Florentino, a player I mentioned in my latest video, I think from Burnley, he got defensive contributions in every game he played. Now, please correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, he didn't play all the games this season. He's 5 millions, he's playing for Burnley, he's averaging almost 15 defensive contributions per 90 minutes, which is just great. So if you're looking for a player pretty much the same as Caicedo, but obviously he didn't score 3 goals this season, Florentino, you're saving almost 1 million with him. So if you want a bench fodder, an 8 attacker who is going to play, if you need him, he's going to get you a minimum of 3, 4, 5 points every game week. And yeah, I feel like that's pretty great. So again, if I was right now on a wildcard, if I need to pick one of these midfielders, I would go for Granit Xhaka from Sunderland, and that's because he's also on some set pieces and he has some real attacking threat. So he's more likely to get you some assists than some players like Florentino, Ugarte, Anderson, Caicedo. So yeah, probably I would go for Bukayo Saka. Other than that, if you want to go for other players, probably I would not go for Anderson from Nottingham Forest. The fixtures are just not there. Again, and from this list, probably Caicedo is the only one I would consider. So again, my top three would be, let's say, Chaka, Caicedo, and Florentino in that order, depending if you're on a wildcard or not. If you want to save more cash or not, probably I would just go for Granit Xhaka. But yeah, pretty much this is with the defensive contribution midfielders. Obviously, you have others like Njae, who has pretty much everything. He's on penalties. He's playing good. His minutes are okay, and he's also decent for defensive contribution. So again, always someone like Bukayo Saka still got defensive contributions against Fulham. Now, I'm not expecting him to get every gaming, but yeah, you got my point. Yeah, I would go for someone like Granit Xhaka from this list. But other than that, I don't think that you should rip up your team, right, to buy someone like Florentino from Burnley. Okay, so in the last part, I just want to show you this graphic and discuss a little bit about which were the best teams, the best attacking teams, if we take into consideration non-penalty expected goals per per 90 minutes. Now, obviously, this is non-penalty expected goals, so it is not taking into consideration penalties, because if we do that, Manchester United obviously are more up on this list because they got a lot of penalties this season. Now, the surprises here, maybe a team like Brentford to be sixth on this place. It is really interesting, but obviously, as I said before, the fixtures are not amazing, and I still don't think that I don't think that we should target Brentford attackers, to be honest, at the moment. But as you can see from this list, Crystal Palace is the best team into this statistic. Obviously, they are averaging 2.44 expected goals per 90 minutes, which is just amazing. This is in the last 5 game weeks. I forgot to mention, from game week 4 to game week 8. So again, it is a really interesting team, Crystal Palace, to be honest with you. In the start of the season, it seems like they were going to be looking like a really good defensive team, but now in the last 5 to 6 game weeks, something like that, in the Premier League, they are turning up as a really good attacking side. And obviously, I was on stream yesterday with Adam from FPL, the English Aussie, and he mentioned that. So Crystal Palace are, I'm not sure if they are the worst team when it comes to possession of the ball. So they are one of the worst anyway. So they don't really have possessions. Their style of play at the moment is based on counter attack. That's why they have a lot of chances. If you remember all the games from them against Liverpool, they had chance after chance after chance after chance. So yeah, really interesting to see if some teams are going to match and try to outplay this tactic from Crystal Palace. I don't think that this term of expected goals per 90 minutes, it is sustainable. But again, let's see how they're going to do in game week 9 against Arsenal. But anyway, from game week 10 onwards, I think that we should buy some players from Crystal Palace. If you want to buy attackers, that's fine. If you want to buy defenders, that's also fine. Liverpool, again, they created a lot of chances against Manchester United, so probably that's why they are second on this list. But that just showed us, at the moment, a lot of people are talking about Liverpool players like we're never going to have any Liverpool players into our FPL teams, and I just don't think that's the case, because again, in the last 5 game weeks, they are second on this list, so they created a lot of chances, but they are just not clicking at the moment. So yeah, we're going to talk about Liverpool when the time comes. At the moment, I just don't think that you should buy any Liverpool players. By the way, Arsenal improved here on this list. Players like Eze, Gyökeres, Bukayo Saka are decent if you have him still, so there's no need to sell them at the moment. Manchester City are okay. Most of that XG probably is from Erling Haaland. So besides Haaland, we don't really have a lot of good FPL options for Manchester City, and that's a shame because they are a good attack. But let's see if they are going to try to find a way to score some goals without Erling Haaland first, and then we can assess. Manchester United 1.53 expected goals per 90 minute, pretty decent. Again, they created some chances against Liverpool. I expect Man United were always this season at least a team who created a lot of chances, but they just missed them. So yeah, I think that we should keep an eye on players like Mbeumo, Bruno Fernandes, even someone like Sesko at some point could become an option. With Brentford and Leeds, as I said before, the fixtures are just not great. I would not go for any players from them. From Brighton, I really like Minte and Welbeck, but Minte especially at 6 million. So I think that he's a great option if you're on a wildcard or if you just want to need some cash to upgrade elsewhere. I think that Minte is a really good option. He's nailed, his minutes are solid, and his expected data is really great. So for an example, he's better than a player like Caicedo, and I'm expecting him to get more attacking returns definitely, and hopefully than Caicedo. Newcastle 10 on this list. They are still improving, 1.2. They weren't amazing if we take this season overall from game week 1 to 8, but in the last 5 game weeks they improved a little bit in this aspect. So again, here I would just look to Voldemar probably to buy. If you have Gordon, again, I would keep him. If you don't have Gordon, probably I would just not buy him at the moment, but definitely keep an eye on Gordon and Voldemar. They are pretty much the only options in attack from Newcastle. So yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. I really think that this is a really long video, and I'm sorry about that. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please consider leaving a like, hit that subscribe button, and I'm going to see you tomorrow. Thanks a lot. Bye.
lor ce fac. Bag gura lor când mă întreabă oamenii de unde sunt, le zic de fac. Apoi-mi bag gura lor, bag gura lor ce fac. Bag gura